I'm Jack Patty, and this is the Senior Minute, successfully serving seniors.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Senior Minute brought to you by the Senior Services Commission. I have two guests joining me today, the Commonwealth's Attorney, Kimberly Baird here in Lexington. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we have Traci who's the Assistant Commonwealth's Attorney as well.
Yes, one of several.
Wonderful. Why don't you tell our viewers, what do you all do in your office?
Generally in our office?
Yes.
We are responsible for prosecuting all of the felony offenses that occur here in Fayette County. So from child support to drug cases to theft cases, all the way up to rapes, robberies, and murders. So anything where you can get a penalty range of 1 year up to and including the death penalty, our office handles.
Wonderful. Well, today's topic, viewers, is about elder abuse. And we know that is happening here, even in Fayette County. And last year, the Attorney General released new guidelines for prosecuting elder abuse. Can you provide some insight into those guidelines for our viewers?
Yes. So the handbook actually is not new. It's just probably updated. And from A.G. Coleman from 2024, and it is a resource guide mainly for prosecutors. He's the chief prosecutor there in the AG's office for us, and it has information in there about elder abuse, about collaboration with various agencies who are to investigate and handle those cases, for law enforcement, for prosecutors. It talks tips for the prosecutors under the Section 209, which deals with elder abuse. The biggest takeaway from that is not only about collaboration and the team approach to making sure that we can handle these cases most effectively and efficiently. Talks about removing any stigma and mandatory reporting when those things happen, because we want to protect our seniors. And it covers not only mental and physical abuse, but also any kind of financial abuse that may occur as well. So it's just kind of a comprehensive guide that helps us be more effective in our jobs.
That's great. Ms. Kinnear, how prevalent are you seeing elder abuse here in Fayette County?
Well, I mean, it's a constant, quite frankly. And it's something that we in our office started to tackle as a collaborative effort 25 years ago, because under former Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson, he realized that we weren't getting these cases. And that doesn't mean it isn't happening.
Right.
And why aren't we getting those cases? And what we came to realize was it's kind of like the hands weren't talking to each other. You have law enforcement that's getting reports, and you have adult protective services that's getting reports, but they weren't coming together. And so we started back in 2000 what we call the Elder Abuse Task Force.
Okay.
And it's a multidisciplinary team, and those are the two primary components, along with us obviously as prosecution, but it's the sheriff's office, the police department, but adult protective services, and then other agencies that have some involvement with elders. And it's not just elders, it's actually under 209, it's all vulnerable adults. So that can actually include anybody over the age of 18 who because of physical or mental dysfunctioning needs that protection. They fall into that category, but it's primarily elders. And so once we started that team, we came to realize just how prevalent it is. And it's not just physical abuse, as Ms. Baird mentioned, it's also neglect, and not just self-neglect that can be helped, but neglect by, unfortunately, seniors' closest family members oftentimes, the ones that should be taking care of them that aren't. And then a big component of what we deal with is financial exploitation. And there's a lot of pieces and parts that play into that aren't necessarily directly part of the Elder Abuse Task Force, but banks are fantastic. Tellers that just have their eyes open and know their customers and report things are a huge resource for us. And neighbors. Nosy neighbors are a great asset. They really are. Because they know and they report things.
Are there any particular signs if a loved one is concerned that elder abuse could be happening? What should they look for? What are some indicators?
Well, I think it depends on which one of those categories we're talking about. Obviously, we don't prosecute self-neglect, but because we collaborate with Adult Protective Services and then other groups like the Bluegrass area, Agency on Aging and Independent Living, we can get those resources to people. But it takes folks being conscientious, family members noticing maybe a decline in mom or grandmother's self-care. And then maybe their house, is it starting to decline in the way that they take care of things or the way that they are keeping things around the house. So neglect is a big part of it because it's really some of the saddest cases that we see. But also people need to be involved with the elders in their lives' finances. And sometimes the elders don't want to relinquish control, but they don't have to relinquish control. They just have to share their information so that you've got an independent pair of eyes watching things to make sure that something's not going awry, whether it's a scam, whether it's and when I say scam, I mean like a home improvement type thing where somebody's knocking on the door and offering to fix the roof and they don't ever do a thing but collect a check. If there's a family member that's also looking at the checking account and the bank balance, they're going to notice those things.
Right.
But the banks notice that too. And it's like I said, I can't give enough credit to the banks here that really reach out and say, this doesn't look right. Something's awry here. And then obviously just being involved in your family members' lives. You'd like to think that people would be anyway, just for love and support.
Right.
But there also needs to be there just needs to be regular interaction because if you have regular interaction with somebody, you're going to know when something's different.
Right. For an elder abuse survivor, if they want to get help, get assistance, want to prosecute the person, who should they call? What should they do?
So typically, it is not the senior themselves, the victim themselves, but a family member or somebody else. And the main thing is there's two primary ways to go about starting a case or bringing that to somebody's attention, and that's through calling the police, not necessarily the emergency number, unless it is an emergency, obviously. But most of our cases are not of that nature. So you would call the general number at the police department, and then you would call the APS hotline, the Adult Protective Services hotline. And I have that number.
Oh, what is that number?
If I can give that out. It is 877-597-2331. And then when APS takes a report, they go straight and share that report with the police department. And we have a designated elder abuse detective. And so when police get reports, they collaborate with Adult Protective Services.
Okay.
And that's been a big benefit of the Elder Abuse Task Force. We meet every month and have now for 25 years to talk about cases and the best way to approach them collaboratively. Because if you've got two different groups investigating the same matter, they're going to step all over each other. It's not efficient.
Right.
And also it kind of gives potential defendants kind of a heads up. And so when we started the Elder Abuse Task Force, one of the biggest things we did was that they go out together. They go out and interview the victim together or the witnesses that have brought it to their attention. And they also go interview defendants together, or suspects, I should say. So doing that together, even though we have two very different purposes. Obviously, police we're making a case for prosecution if there is evidence for that. Adult Protective Services wants to make sure that it gets stopped and that person gets helped now.
Right.
And has the services they need for it to not happen again in the future. And so even though we have two very different goals, working together serves both. Lots of times people will call our office. Don't do that because unfortunately we have no ability to investigate. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to lead you to those two resources.
Awesome. Could you share that number one more time?
Absolutely. It's 877-597-2331.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you all, Ms. Kinnear, Ms. Baird, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, of course, and thank you for joining us for the Senior Minute. Have a good day.